Hello and welcome to Picture Astrology. In this quick video, we will talk about placement of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, which is generally considered a very auspicious position because Aquarius is not just the own sign of Saturn, but a large part of Aquarius falls under the Mool Trikon, which is generally known to impart or bring about some of the best of the qualities of planet Saturn. And yet, in real life, the placement of Saturn in Aquarius throws some very interesting observations. So as always, we will look at both the great and not so great aspects of Saturn in this placement, and also in the end we will try to find out one of the very potent remedy which can be used to easily go through the karmas represented by Saturn. So let's start by looking at some of the defining features of the sign of Aquarius. So Aquarius is an airy sign, and the mode of functioning is that it is a fixed sign. Now, if you look at the basic quality of air, the basic or fundamental quality of air is to keep on moving to and fro, and therefore keeping the air fixed or stable at one place is generally considered to be the highest expression of air sign. And the fundamental quality of air sign is that they are related to the mental activities in human life. Like water signs are all about your emotions, fire signs are all about action and aggressions. Similarly, air signs are all about your cerebral activities. And if you see Gemini, which is the first sign of the air element in the zodiac and the third sign overall, this represents a stage in your life when you are growing out of infant stage and starting to say first words in your life, starting to learn your senses for the first time, starting to perceive things in this life. And being the highest or the peak sign of air element, Saturn in this sign definitely shows maturity in the thought process of the person. Now, another important thing related to this is that Saturn is considered to be the oldest planet, and Aquarius is its own sign. And because of this maturity actually finds expression in multiple ways. So if Saturn in Aquarius is related to your ascendant somehow, or the first house, or has even an aspect on the ascendant lord, then it will definitely give you maturity in your mentality, in your thought process, but it can also show maturity in the way you look or on your face. And since Saturn in its Mool Trikon sign, especially the 0 to 20 degree area of this sign is considered to be the Mool Trikon area of Saturn. So when Saturn is this position and is placed in your first house, it could give attractive yet a very mature looking person. Now, one important aspect, say if Saturn is in the first house, now this could apply to any placement of Saturn in the first house, especially when Saturn in its own signs, and that is that Saturn is considered to be enemy of Moon and Sun. These two luminary planets or luminary grahas are considered to be enemy of Saturn, and both of these represents eyes on your face, and Saturn is darkness. So dark circles can be a very much possibility. People with this placement can have tendency to easily develop dark circles, especially if even little bit of sleep is deprived of them, because Saturn is related to sleep as well, and this tendency is more pronounced in the last 10 degrees of Aquarius, which is non-Mool Trikon area of Saturn. Now, in terms of temperament, a mature mind generally is naturally attracted towards learning, higher education and philosophical mindset, and especially so as we saw that the sign of Aquarius, being the mental sign, is the highest expression of intellectual energies. So this placement doesn't easily get satisfied, by a quick joke or a witty comment, or by a short story, or not even a book. They really want to go deep and unearth the secrets of philosophies. They really want to satisfy their mental urges. This is the sign of PhDs, this is the sign of philosophers, great educationalists. And to do all this, you need to have a lot of patience and perseverance both. And Saturn is all about patience and perseverance. There would be no patience in this world if planet Saturn wasn't there in the solar system. So Saturn in this sign naturally inclines a person towards mature thinking and higher learnings, and that can obviously translate into many different professions, especially in today's world and age. Being the Aries sign, aviation industry is all about this kind of placement. Also, scientists of any field who do deep studies, who do explorations, especially the space explorations, are also closely related to this placement. But a very interesting aspect of this sign of Aquarius or the Aries sign is that they are not just related to the philosophical or learning aspect, but the sign of Gemini shows the beginning of the stage in life where you start to use your senses. The 5 senses which you have, which is your basic means to perceive life around you, are under the purview of Aries sign. And Aquarius, as we saw, is the highest expression of this. That means even in terms of sensuality, in sensual pleasures, the sign of Aquarius can go really, really deep. And though we know that Saturn is the sign of dispassionate attachment or dispassionate work, yet it is also the planet which can drag you down into all kind of pleasure activities, wine, women, and everything. And when I say drag you down, what I mean is that Saturn, as you know, is also a planet of inertia. Inertia meaning lack of activity, or one way of looking at this is that the stage when you have drunk too much, when you are completely stoned, that activity actually sucks up your life energies and you definitely feel a big hangover. You cannot function well in life, or at least the next morning. A lot of inertia gets into your system if you indulge in too much of sensual pleasures, and that inertia is also presented by Saturn. So Saturn in the sign of Aquarius is, apart from all kind of learning and philosophical and higher social justice and social consciousness, it is also associated with a high level of sensual activities. Now this kind of aspect comes out when Saturn is afflicted in the chart. And not just Saturn is afflicted, also Moon is weak and afflicted. The degree of the affliction to Moon and Saturn will determine the degree to which you get involved in sensual pleasures, or the benefic effects on Saturn and Moon will determine how far ahead you can go in the quest of learning because of this placement. Now let's quickly talk about what kind of remedy or action could be very useful in dealing with the karmic burden which Saturn in Aquarius can show. Now, as you know, Saturn is the natural karaka which shows debts of your past life. Just like Jupiter can Jupiter naturally shows boons of your past life. Similarly, Saturn is the complementary planet to that. And Saturn is the slowest among the planets which are considered by Vedic astrology, and also the coldest. So the fixed, which is the stable and airy environment of Aquarius, is actually very suitable for Saturn. And we just talked about that the first 20 degrees is also considered to be Mool Trikon sign. So generally, unless there are severe afflictions to the Saturn here, this placement indicates that you can pass through the lessons of Saturn in a rather easier manner, relatively speaking. But as far as remedy, See, Saturn is the element of air. If Saturn is afflicted or badly placed in your horoscope, you will suffer from what is known as Vat Roga. Vat literally means air, and Aquarius is an airy sign. And also Aquarius is called or known as Kumbha in Sanskrit, and Kumbh, although has many meanings, one of them literally means that it is the pot of water, which has a great symbolism in Aquarius anyways. But one very important meaning of Kumbha is that it is used in pranayam very much. And pranayam literally means, the breathing exercises which are part of the yogic system. There are many different kinds of breathing exercises or pranayams which are prescribed. But especially for Saturn in Aquarius, very, very slow and deep breathing, which basically slowly fills the pot of Kumbha, is very, very beneficial remedy. And if you can, just do the alternate nostril breathing, breathe in from one nostril, breathe out from the other, then breathe in from the nostril from which you have just breathed out, and then breathe out from the other one, and continue this process. But remember, very, very slow breathing is highly recommended for this placement of Saturn in Aquarius. And in pranayam, actually there is a term called kumbhaka, which basically means holding your breath. Now this, as you can clearly see, completely matches with the symbolism of Aquarius. It is a pot which holds water, and kumbhaka literally means holding your breath. And in breathing exercise, it means holding your breath both in and out, meaning you fill in your lungs with a lot of air, then hold it for a very brief period, and then you breathe out, and you breathe out and completely empty your lungs, and then hold that position for some time. Now it is highly recommended that you include this kumbhaka in your breathing exercises, but do not hold your breath inside, meaning do not fill your lungs and stop your breath, because those kind of pranayam should be learned from good gurus. You can always do pranayam in which you hold your breath outside, meaning you empty your lungs, and for a very brief period of time, hold this process of breathing in, breathing out. Basically keep your lungs empty for some time and then slowly breathe in. But if it is too complicated, just doing slow breathing exercises are best for this placement of Saturn in Aquarius. So friends, this was my very quick analysis of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. Please do share your comments and experience so that everyone can benefit from them. Thank you again for spending time with me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.